Good evening, citizens, guests, council, and staff. This evening, or this afternoon, is Tuesday, December 30th. We have a special time as well as a special meeting. We'll be following our regular meeting agenda. City Clerk, ready for the roll.
Mayor Cernanek.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Beckman.
Here.
Councilmember Brinkman.
Here.
Councilmember Cole.
Here.
Councilmember Stallman.
Here.
Councilmember Stein.
Here.
Councilmember Valdez.
Present.
If you could please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Looking for a motion for approval of the agenda. Council, is there anything to consider as far as any changes in the agenda for this evening? Seeing none, the agenda is as posted, and looking for a motion on the minutes to be approved.
I have a motion. I move to approve, based on the clerk's certification, the December 16th video as the minutes for the December 16th, 2014 regular meeting of the City Council.
Second.
Council, we have a motion and a second on the minutes of December 16th. Are we ready to vote? Please indicate.
The vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Thank you. And now we have unscheduled citizen comments. Unscheduled appearances are an opportunity for any citizen to express opinions or ask questions regarding city services, council policies, or other matters of community concern that are not part of the scheduled agenda. Generally, an immediate response should not be expected. Typically, issues are referred to city staff for follow-up information or research and reported back to the council and the individual that initiated the comment or inquiry. If any citizen would like to speak during unscheduled public comments, please complete a green citizen card. These are located on the table back at the entrance to the council chambers, and please provide the green card either to the city clerk or leave it at the podium. Anyone for unscheduled citizen comments? Frank?
I'll need the overview. Thank you. Good afternoon, City Council. My name is Frank Atwood. I live at 7094 South Castilla Street, and I'd like to remind Littleton citizens to apply for boards and commissions vacancies. The deadline is Saturday, January 31st. Among many openings, the city has announced that there are 2 openings on the lift board, even though an alternative history shows there may be 5 openings. This illustrates the importance of history, and I encourage you to check out the website Citizens for Rational Development for more details, and also the city's website. I wish to speak on the topic of lazy. I don't think Council or Stu Maher or Norm Stucker are lazy. Initially, I thought they were innovative. Now, I believe some may simply be insiders. There's well-known political advice associated with Senator Elizabeth Warren that may not apply to Littleton. I don't know. May or may not. You have a choice. You can be an insider or you can be an outsider. Outsiders can say whatever they want, but people on the inside don't listen to them. Insiders, however, get lots of access and a chance to push their ideas. People, powerful people, listen to what they have to say. But insiders also understand one unbreakable rule. They don't criticize other insiders. There are numerous examples of ignoring the elephant in the room or other well-known fables. I'd like to continue with an illustration that may be a little too graphic for some. If the emperor were more buff, it would not look so ridiculous. We really don't know why the emperor has no clothes. Maybe it is Casual Friday and he's taking it to an extreme. Maybe he's lazy, just chose the innovative approach. Maybe he's doing penance for pounding the hand on the table when having coffee with a citizen. I'd like to suggest maybe he's listening too much to the insiders. The question that still must be answered is not only who will tell the emperor he has no clothes, but perhaps even more important, will the emperor listen? Seeing as the question comes from a criticizing outsider, or are there too many insiders? Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Pam?
Good afternoon, Council. I'm Pam Chadbourne. I live at Crestline in Nevada in downtown Littleton, District 1. And Frank said some of what I wanted, or along the lines of what I wanted to say more eloquently than I can. I just want to say no insult was intended by me at last City Council meeting to any of you, and not you, Mr. Mayor. My intent in talking about citizens who carried a petition for a special election was to emphasize the work that many dozens of people did and the fact that they got 4,000 citizens, registered voters, to sign the thing. And that deserves respect, and it's not a zero-sum game. By asking for respect for those people who did the work on the petition and who signed the petition, I'm not taking away any merit from anyone else. But the state places a high bar on having a special election. And citizens felt so strongly about the urban renewal process that they undertook that. And it was difficult for them to do. And many people put in lots of time for no self-return. And I'm not suggesting this was your intent, Mr. Mayor, by the way, but none of them are getting a seat on council by having carried a petition. All they're getting is a special election for voters to weigh in. So it's not the same as running for council or other types of public outreach. So again, I'm just trying to emphasize that the citizens who asked for a special election on the subject of urban renewal deserve respect, and high respect. And if I were an elected official, I would have that respect. And that's what I was trying to bring forward. And then Frank talked about insiders. That's a better way to put what I was going to say. How is it that 20 people who I can't even see their names on the website, they're obviously an advocacy group, they should be registered with the city, I can't find them there. Who's Littleton Strong? These folks write a letter, and one council member writes a letter to the city manager and says, hey, put a resolution to put this on the ballot and add it to what hours and hours of citizen work, hundreds of hours were put in to get the election established in the first place. So that, to me, is the problem that several of us were talking about last week. And I do regard it as a problem if our elected officials don't recognize the merit of those people who carried that and the concern that they have. So to get the special election deserves respect. And that's what I'm asking for. And Frank talked about insiders. So the second part of what I wanted to talk about, have a half a minute left, is part of my concern about urban renewal is not that the riverfront is going to happen again. The law has changed, but what Tom Christopite said was a problem then is still a problem now, and it's not part of what's fixed by the law. And that is the lack of a market analysis. I ask you, please, have staff get a market analysis from the city's point of view for what is the commercial base that the city can sustain given our environment. Without knowing that, how can you know
Thank you,
urban
Pam.
renewal will succeed? Thanks.
Marty? Do you have your hand up? Oh, Linda, sorry.
I just wanted to clarify something that has been
Linda,
going around.
I'm sorry, we cannot have you speak for.
This is not regarding Resolution 54. It's regarding the election, the ballot that's already on the election.
Yeah, we can't use our web streaming or our television for a position of advocacy, either for or against the current measures.
Okay, well then I'll take it away. I just wanted to mention, with regard to urban renewal plans, if you didn't have confidence that the voters would have approved urban renewal plans, why did you approve the existing urban renewal plans? And, these plans, that they could show some level of accountability that council has to strive for good quality, consistent, lawful, and measurable plans. So, and no one I know is against urban renewal when urban renewal is appropriately managed. The board reads and understands urban renewal plans, condition surveys, and financial plans, as well as the state law. And they read the legal descriptions. And an urban renewal board exists where the majority have not been on the board for 25 plus years. And thoughtful plans have been developed that follow the law and clearly articulate the vision of the council, the city, and the LIFT board. And urban renewal plans are not manipulated in the background so that plans don't change from what's approved by LIFT, the planning board, and city council. And also that phantom plans are not approved. So, just to mention that you passed urban renewal plans that use cookie cutter templates designed to regurgitate the law to allow LIFT board to do pretty much whatever they want. And and remember, you did divert and will be diverting sales and property tax revenues for 25 years, and 25 years is a long time. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Seeing none, we will continue on our agenda for this evening. Comments and reports, City Manager.
Mayor, I just want to wish everyone a Happy New Year. Other than that, that's it. So, thank you.
Councilmember Cole.
For time's sake, no report.
Councilmember Stallman.
Citizen used the phrase divert property and sales tax. I want to make sure there's a clarification. When we do urban renewal projects, the increment is applied to pay for infrastructure improvements that benefit the community. The existing base taxes continue to go where they've always gone. Therefore, the phrase divert, I think, is misleading. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Valdez.
Happy New Year. That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Franklin.
No report.
Councilmember Stein.
No report.
And Mayor Pro Tem Beckman.
No report.
And just wanted to make a quick announcement that the city has again received, our finance department has again received an award from the Government Finance Officers Association, and I'm sure that will get mentioned again with regard to the transparency of and access of information there. And I want to echo the city manager's comments with regard a Happy New Year to all, though it is shockingly cold outside at the moment. So thank you very much. We have no consent agenda items, so we move to Section 8, Ordinances on Second Reading and Public Hearing. First and only is Ordinance 54-2014. It's an ordinance on second reading submitting a charter amendment to the electors of the city for the March 3rd, 2015 special election, amending Section 64 of the city charter regarding eminent domain. And City Attorney Kristen Sheldon.
Yes, this is an ordinance on second reading. As council will remember, there's two ways that a charter amendment can be placed on the ballot. The first is through a petition, and the second is through an ordinance passed by City Council. So we're operating under that second alternative, and I'm here if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Brinkman.
City Attorney, I do have a question. We received a communication from Calabrejac regarding this issue. In it, she mentions an intention to file a complaint against the proposed ballot language, and it appears that the concern is that it would populate the charter with misleading and unenforceable language. Could you address that, please?
Yes. So I don't see that issue with the proposed language. The way I read it, it addresses what cannot be included in an urban renewal plan, specifically that the use of eminent domain and condemnation cannot be included in any urban renewal plan that City Council might be considering for approval. So the authority to condemn for urban renewal purposes rests with LIFT, but the authority to approve those plans rests with council. Therefore, if a charter amendment were to pass and an urban renewal plan that proposed the use of eminent domain were to come before council and this charter amendment were in place, my advice would be that the council needed to remove that use of eminent domain prior to approval.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions at this time? Seeing none, we will open the public hearing at 4:20 p.m. There are 10 names on the roster. We'll go through the roster, and then if anyone else would like to speak. First up is Robert Golden. Good evening, Bob, or good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Golden. I'm the President and CEO of the South Metro Denver Chamber of Commerce. We're located at 2154 East Commons Avenue in Centennial. We represent over 500 businesses in the South Metro Denver area, including a lot of businesses in Littleton. And we also have an arm of the Chamber called Littleton Business Coalition, which is very active and is made up of many Littleton members. Many of the workforce in the South Metro area live in your community. They work here, they play here, and they send their children to the Littleton schools. Littleton's economy has such great potential and wonderful infrastructure, including excellent proximity to major office and commercial centers, 2 light rail stations, a tremendous public school system, and arguably the best Main Street in Colorado. That's my own opinion. However, just like every neighborhood community, there are challenges. Littleton has commercial corridors and commercial centers that were built for a different time, a different place, and different market conditions. Many times the infrastructure to support redevelopment is inadequate, and it makes redevelopment more costly, risky, and unpredictable. That's when cities step in to help make projects possible. An example would be where our offices are located, which is at Streets of South Glen, which is formerly the South Glen Plaza Shopping Center. I got to experience over the Christmas holidays the vibrant business community over there, and what a great asset it is to the members of our community. And it's a perfect example of how good things can happen. Excuse me. In your city, you've got 2 new exciting projects in the Breckenridge Brewery and the remodeling of the King's Super Plaza on South Broadway, both projects that receive support from your city. These projects and other potential opportunities would be stifled under the proposed anti-urban renewal ballot measure. From a business perspective, the additional risks, cost, time, and unpredictability of an election are risks that are too high to bear for today's business person and that wants to invest in your city. The South Metro Denver Chamber has a strong position against the anti-urban renewal ballot measure because we believe it will harm the economy of Littleton and keep it from reaching its full potential. On behalf of the Chamber, I respectfully request that the City Council refer the proposed ballot measure offered through Littleton Strong, which will strengthen protections and property owners in Littleton's urban renewal districts. We've heard loud and clear that there should be even stronger checks and balances on condemnation and eminent domain powers, and that's why we believe this ballot measure will do that. By voting yes to the new proposed ballot question that is before City Council tonight, Littleton voters can provide additional protections for property owners. And by voting no on the anti-urban renewal proposal, Littleton voters can protect Littleton's economy and keep the doors open for redevelopment and revitalization in the areas where it's most needed. And lastly, I will tell you on behalf of our chamber, we believe in the Littleton leadership. We believe in the leadership of the staff. We believe in the leadership of the council. And so we believe you're doing a good job, and we don't believe that the public has the real wherewithal to be able to make the decisions that are involved in urban renewal. So with that, I appreciate your time and have a happy New Year.
Thank you, Bob. Next up is Kent Bagley. Good afternoon, Kent.
Mayor and members of council, my name is Kent Bagley. I reside at 1467 West Briarwood Avenue and have resided there for 20 years now. I was the former chair of the Littleton Planning Board until I left in 2008. Some months ago, the council passed a resolution to remove the ability of the entities of the city or council to utilize either eminent domain or condemnation in the process of any urban renewal activity within the city. The amendment to the ordinance to remove urban renewal authority and thereby conform to your original intent is a reinforcement which is purposeful and wise. This will still allow you, the council, and entities of the council, meaning the Urban Renewal Authority, to utilize the constructive tools of tax increment financing, revenue sharing, or cost sharing in a methodology that does not require a vote of the public. And those will be done in the activities necessary and prudent to act to improve various areas of the city that may be presently underutilized. Thank you for this opportunity to speak and for your attention to my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Kay Watson and then Tina Marath.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I'm Kay Watson. I live at 7450 South Curtis Court, Littleton, Colorado 80120. I'm here to speak as a resident, a business owner, and a longtime supporter of Littleton. I've served on many things in this town and love Littleton. Tonight's action by City Council is very important to me as a Littleton resident and to every Littleton citizen. We have a March 3rd special election, which is costing Littleton taxpayers approximately $40,000 to conduct, and which threatens Littleton's ability to use urban renewal as a tool to revitalize and redevelop some key parts of our city. As a member of Keep Littleton Strong, we believe we need to give voters a choice in this election. We have proposed a ballot question that gets to the heart of so much of the concern and debate around urban renewal regarding the city's powers of eminent domain and condemnation for urban renewal purposes. Unfortunately, these powers, which are used so rarely, have been turned into a scare campaign, casting a very dark shadow on every single aspect of urban renewal. We ask City Council to refer our proposed ballot question to the March 3rd election. If it is passed by the voters, it would prohibit the city from using condemnation or eminent domain powers for urban renewal. unless specifically requested by the affected property owner. We believe that this strengthens and protects the rights of all property owners in Littleton, and we will advocate for Littleton voters to vote yes to protect these rights. The other ballot question is an anti-urban renewal question, pure and simple. The simple truth is that the risks and unpredictability of cost and time are always part of the development process, and those risks are even more intense when you're dealing with urban renewal. The Citizens for Rational Development proposal would pile an election on top of the development process at a cost, as I said, of approximately $40,000. And that's just another layer of risk, unpredictability, costs, and time to urban renewal. It is more likely that the rational developers, which Littleton wants to attract, to our 2 transit stations and part of our commercial corridors, would do the rational thing and take a pass on Littleton and literally eliminate development in these areas. If the anti-urban renewal question is passed, opportunities for redevelopment of Littleton's main corridors may never happen, and that will be detrimental to our economy. When our local economy suffers, the resources our city needs to provide services, including fire, police, and maintaining our streets and roads, will not be available. This is why we are urging Littleton voters to vote no on the anti-urban renewal ballot measure and yes on the charter amendment. This is about Littleton's future, my future, quality of life, and our economic health. So I urge you to refer the charter amendment to the March 3rd ballot so voters will have a choice in this election. Let's protect our economy, protect our property owner rights, and keep Littleton strong. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. Next is Tina Morath. And Stu, you're on the roster. Do you wish to speak? No. So then after that will be Marty Brijak. Evening, Tina.
Happy New Year, Mayor and City Council. Thank you for having me. My name is Tina Morath. I reside at 8221 South Marshall Court. My fiance and I moved to the Littleton area 6 months ago for the following reasons: the great housing options in neighborhoods, high-achieving schools, the close proximity to our jobs in downtown Denver and the Denver Tech Center, the wonderful downtown and Main Street with a multitude of vendors that we regularly patronize, the easy access to light rail, and the availability of parks and open space. As new residents, we want Littleton to retain the wonderful features it has, but also evolve and change to become a sustainable, thriving city. There are aspects to Littleton that do need improvement, especially in our commercial corridors, such as the areas identified in the urban renewal plans. Speaking for myself and many of my new neighbors, I want to see more walkability and pedestrian connections, more public improvements to make different parts of Littleton more accessible by foot or by bicycle, and investment in the South Platte corridor. In some cases, these improvements can be directly connected to urban renewal projects. In other cases, they can be the result of investments by Littleton to generate more commercial activity and more tax revenues so we can build a healthy and competitive local economy. And in order for our local economy to remain healthy and competitive, Littleton will have to invest in itself. Urban renewal is one of the most powerful tools available. I believe the city of Littleton is late to the table with urban renewal developments in comparison to the surrounding communities of Denver. Developments currently moving forward include the former University of Colorado site at 9th and Colorado, the former St. Anthony's Central Hospital site at Sloan's Lake, the Southwest Plaza Mall renovation, the Westminster Mall redevelopment, the Inglewood City Center Phase 2, the former Gates Rubber site development, and the Northeast Denver Cooperative, which includes the National Western Sac Show, I-70 reconstruction, and surrounding developments. This is merely just a list of a few of the developments. There are many more. Several of these developments have utilized urban renewal tools to become possible. In Littleton, the debate around urban renewal has devolved into scare tactics around eminent domain and condemnation. Tonight, I ask that you refer to the proposed charter amendment to the March 3rd ballot, which will strengthen the protections for property owners in Littleton's urban renewal district. The stakes are high in this election, and we need to give the voters a choice. We can protect the property rights of owners while protecting the future of Littleton's economy. Me and my neighbors, many of us new arrivals to the Littleton area, love this community and know it can only get better. Please, let's keep our urban renewal tools, and let's keep Littleton strong. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Marty, and then Carol Breezak. Stu was not going to speak.
Good evening, Council. My name is Marty Breezak, and I live in the 4th District. The first point Carol and I would like to make is we will be supporting both questions if they are both on the ballot on March 3rd, and we will encourage others to do the same. But before you make your decision tonight, there are a few points that we believe are worthy of your discussion. They fall into 2 categories: local concerns and statewide concerns. I will address the local concerns, and they fall into 3 categories. Does the charter apply to LIFT? Can the council interfere with state law? And ordinance creation according to our charter. The Urban Renewal Authority, LIFT, is a body corporate and politic, as defined in the Urban Renewal Law, therefore not bound by the city's charter, which has been pointed out by LIFT and upheld by the council in matters relating to executive sessions. If you believe that LIFT is bound to follow the charter in this matter, then LIFT would be also required to follow the other conditions set forth in the city's charter, including the use of executive sessions. And after researching the subject, we believe the position taken by the council and LIFT is correct. The charter places no limitations on LIFT. So, according to CRS 3115-103, municipalities shall have the power to make and publish ordinances not consistent with the laws of this state. The council has no authority to pass ordinances that are not consistent with state law, which includes the urban renewal law. Section 39 of the charter states that, except as otherwise provided in this charter, all ordinances shall take effect not less than 7 days after publication following final passage. The ordinance before you tonight will not be enacted in time to place on the March 3rd ballot. We are afraid all of this effort has come too late. The power of condemnation by an authority must be approved as part of an urban renewal plan or a substantial modification thereof by majority vote of the governing board. All 4 plans have been approved with a complete use of eminent domain for a time period that will far exceed the life of this council. The damage has been done, as there be no limitation on the use of eminent domain in any of the 4 plans, in spite of your resolution not to approve any plans. The use of eminent domain. As much as we would like to see some limiting legislation in our charter on the use of eminent domain, the state law has made it clear that nothing is to interfere with the Urban Renewal Authority and the powers granted to them by the state. Additionally, I'd like to say the people have a choice. They can vote yes or they can vote no. And in addition to that, if any of the council members that are associated with Keep Littleton Strong, as indicated in the Littleton Independent, would like to identify themselves, please do so now. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Carol Breezak, and then Linda Newfinke.
I'm Carol Breezak. I live in the 4th District. As Marty stated, I will talk about the statewide issues. This council cannot eliminate or abbreviate the use of eminent domain from the powers granted to the authority by state law. And because eminent domain is a matter of statewide concern and a matter of importance for statewide uniformity, neither you or I have the power to change what powers have been given to the authority by the state legislator. There have been several court cases on this very subject, and here are a few of the findings. In matters of exclusively statewide concern, state statutes will always supersede conflicting local enactments. With respect to matters of statewide concern, home rule cities are subject to state legislation. By contrast, the General Assembly has exclusive authority to legislate in areas of statewide concern. That is, the state legislature may adopt legislation, and home rule municipalities are without the power to act unless authorized by the Constitution or by state law. When the state enacts legislation concerning matters of statewide concern, a home rule municipality may not legislate in that area unless expressly authorized to do so by the Constitution or state statute. To further drive home the point that municipalities are not empowered to change the urban renewal law, the law itself, in speaking about the powers of the authority, reads, "No provision of any other law with respect to the planning or undertaking of project or the acquisition, clearance, or disposition of property by public bodies shall restrict an authority exercising their powers under the urban renewal law unless the General Assembly specifically so states." In other words, the General Assembly is the only body that can change the powers of the authority. You see, the council only has the authority to create the Urban Renewal Board and remove members from the board. All other powers given in the law reside in the lap of the Urban Renewal Authority. The council only has the obligation to either approve or not approve plans that come to them by way of LIFT. LIFT's authority comes from the General Assembly, not this council, which is one of the reasons why we felt so strongly that oversight was needed. The General Assembly is a long way from being interested in what happens in Littleton, and leaving decisions to unelected Board of Seven shifts the power of development in Littleton away from the elected council. LIFT has shifted their authority on zoning matters to the Planning Board and Council for the time being, but this shift can revert back to the authority any time over the next 3 decades, long after this council is gone, and who knows if future LIFT members will remember what happened in 2014. The authority to begin condemnation hearing resides with LIFT, and they do not need any further approval from this council to proceed. You have a real challenge in front of you. As Mari said, we support the intent of this legislation, but we do not want to see an addition made to the charter that implies protection for a private property owner when that protection is not enforceable. The council has no authority to pass ordinances that are not consistent with the urban renewal law. A small group of citizens met over this subject over several weeks, trying to craft a ballot question that would offer citizens of Littleton some protections. We had drafts very similar to the one before you, but quickly abandoned it because the urban renewal law is very clear. It cannot be interfered with except by the State Assembly. Unfortunately, we are too late to impact the 4 plans you have already approved. We can only hope that LIFT will not proceed with condemnation actions in any of the 4 areas over the next 25 years. But we have no protection that that will not happen in a so-called friendly action, which rarely happens if you know what the steps are required to get to an eminent domain action. Your plans that you approve does not mean that the Urban Renewal Authority has to come back for you for approval. It says they confer with you. No approval is needed for condemnation. I hope that someone on staff has come up with an alternative that will pass the constitutionality test, but in absence, I encourage you to vote no. I'd like to give you a copy.
Linda Newfinke, and then Paul Bingham. Paul, do you wish to speak? No. And then after that, Pam Chatborn. So Linda, then Pam.
Okay. Good evening, Linda Newfinke. I want to mention, I think this Resolution 54 is the ultimate anti-urban renewal resolution. I think eminent domain and condemnation are crucial to successful implementation and urban renewal anywhere in the country. By taking this tool out of your toolbox and away from urban renewal, you're effectively obstructing successful urban renewal in Littleton. So if you're against eminent domain, you shouldn't have supported urban renewal in the first place, since the fundamental premise to urban renewal is condemnation, eminent domain, and blight. So what I think you guys are trying to do is trying to change the fundamentals of urban renewal law to fit your idea that urban renewal can be done without eminent domain, condemnation, and blight. And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. And remember, you've already approved blight in Littleton, giving Lyft carte blanche to initiate condemnation and taking proceedings even today. That's stretching it a bit, but not too much. So Resolution 54 has absolutely nothing, does nothing that isn't provided for in state law. So the Urban Renewal Authority has been delegated the powers of eminent domain once you pass the urban renewal plans. And another point is, why create extraneous charter language? The Charter Committee has been diligently working to clean up the charter, and you're adding to a little bit of the mess. So this is a do-nothing resolution. It doesn't prevent you from using eminent domain. It has no teeth, and again, once you approve the plan, Lyft's got those powers. And guess what? Each and every one of the urban renewal plans has eminent domain in them. And if you looked at section 6.9, you'll see that in acquiring and disposing the property, you have eminent domain. And also in the urban renewal plan, you have in section 1.3 a designation of your intent. And your intent is that the city, I'll read this verbatim, it is the intent of City Council adopting this plan that Lyft has available to it the powers authorized in the Act which are necessary and appropriate to accomplish the objective stated herein. Further, it is the intent of this plan that Lyft exercise these powers for the elimination of the qualifying conditions, as in blight, in the area and furtherance of the goals and objectives in the community general plan. So does this resolution do what you really want it to do? Is it enforceable? Are you taking away a power that Lyft doesn't have? So I would consider the impact of this resolution on your four current urban renewal plans. And remember, you can't make changes to, or major changes to an urban renewal plan without a public process. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Pam?
Good afternoon again, Council. I'm Pam Chadbourne. I live at Crestline in Nevada in District 1. I think out of all the speakers today, I'm the only one who lives next door to one of the established urban renewal areas. I am the only person I think you're going to hear or is here today who is at a risk from the proposed resolution. So please listen to what I have to say, because I'm going to urge you not to approve this, because I think you have to have the ability to use eminent domain and condemnation to do the public improvements that are needed in Littleton when improvement is made. For the good of the public, for the good of the city, you need eminent domain and condemnation. It may only be a 15-foot easement. It's not something that it should be done lightly, but it is needed in certain circumstances for the public good. For the public good, for the infrastructure improvements that you claim you will make when urban renewal is used. And I'm the person who's at risk here. Out of everybody, personally, I'm the one with skin in the game, or property next door to an urban renewal area. But if you had to take it for the public good, then do that, because that is what your jobs are as city council members, as elected representatives who act for the good of the city for the next many decades. So don't take that away. Linda made that point, and it's a real asset to you. Don't take it away. Keep the power of eminent domain and condemnation. It shouldn't be taken away. It should be kept for the public good. And I'm the person who's at risk. So that's the simple part of my argument. But I think it's compelling. I think it's fundamental. I think it's inherent in eminent domain and in urban renewal all around the country. So nothing special there. You know, to a couple of the other speakers, the list of projects that were mentioned by one of the public speakers are all very focused, targeted sites with very specific problems. And my problem with eminent domain or with urban renewal as set up by the city is that there are no targets. There are no limits. These are huge areas, and we don't know, you haven't helped us see, what the problems are that need fixing in these areas. I don't know what risk I'm at, frankly, and I should, because the urban renewal plan should have been set with problems to solve that we all know in the city are compelling, that are beyond our reach without the use of this tool. That's not in the plans. So that speaker who listed those targeted things, those all were very specific sites that those cities studied, that they knew they were getting a major benefit from using urban renewal to improve. We don't know that. These are a huge number of areas, and we're at the developer's mercy here. And also, the citizens' proposal for March 3rd is not anti-urban renewal. It's only against urban renewal as proposed by these 4 wide-open plans. There have to be cost caps. You have to show us what limits are there to protect us. So please consider my comments when you vote on this measure. Thanks.
Thank you, Pam. Is there anyone else? Frank?
Good evening again, City Council, 7094 South Castilla Street. I'd like to come back to the topic of elections costing $40,000. $40,000 is real money. I'm not certain which number I'm hearing, that Riverfront cost the city $9 million or $11 million, but when I do my math of trying to divide 9 million by 40,000, I come up with 1/200th. I feel elections are worthwhile. I do trust voters, and I look forward to both of these being on the ballot, and feel that it's great that we have citizen participation in City of Littleton. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Anyone else? Not seeing anyone. We will close the public hearing at 4:49 p.m. And Council, do we have any questions, comments, or a motion?
Make a motion.
Deb?
Make a motion. Shall the Littleton City Charter be amended so that the City Council cannot authorize the use of eminent domain and condemnation in an urban renewal plan except at the request of a property owner, be placed on the ballot March 3rd?
Second.
If I may.
Sure.
By doing, with all due respect to the Littleton strong language, I think that we want to make sure that what we do does not prohibit the opportunity for the city to be able to, in certain instances, similar to what Pam illustrated, that there is still an opportunity for the use of condemnation, especially if it is requested by a property owner, because that is also a property owner's right to be able to use that. And I think that this puts the intent into the ballot language that the Littleton Strong Group had intended in the beginning. And City Attorney, based on that language, do you feel as though we would be within our charter?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Council, other comments or questions?
Second. Did you get a second, Mayor?
Second.
Yes. Yeah, I would just have a question about the issue of statewide concern versus home rule city. Littleton's a home rule city. It has an opportunity then to create certain kinds of ordinances, et cetera, that are not appropriate perhaps for state law but might fit us better. That discussion was brought up tonight. Can you just touch on how this issue that we're talking about, either ballot, either ballot measure, is affected by statewide concern versus home rule?
So I don't see that this is a problem or conflicts with the urban renewal law, because you're voluntarily limiting the authority that the urban renewal law gives you. So we're not, creating a right to eminent domain that the urban renewal law didn't give you. It's that you're voluntarily saying, we understand that this tool is available to us, but we're choosing not to use that. And so I don't see that it's a conflict that brings in the issue of whether it's a matter of statewide concern, a local concern, or mixed concern.
Thank you.
Councilmember Stallman?
Yeah, again, I think it's important to set a little context here. Eminent domain is being thrown around in vague and disturbing, terms as this unfettered power that Littleton city government can wield, or LIFT can wield, I should say. And in truth, the application of eminent domain, again, as we've repeated at many, many meetings, is severely constrained by state law to a specific process, because over the past 10 years, the state legislature understood that there was a risk to property owners from the utilization of eminent domain as it existed back at the point in time that the Riverfront project was originally undertaken in the 80s. The law changed. Eminent domain is an extremely narrow application, which is frankly why it doesn't get used anymore. However, putting this in the charter is consistent with what we've done as a council for an extended period of time, what we keep trying to message. What we've been saying is urban renewal funds can only be used for public infrastructure improvements and only where there's a gap in project economics. Financing for these improvements is derived from incremental or new property or sales taxes over and above existing taxes, which will continue to go to existing taxing entities such as Littleton Public Schools, as they always have, and only come into being, the new taxes only come into being as a result of the urban renewal project in the first place. So there is no diversion of taxes. We continue to try to demonstrate our concern for property owners. We've kept virtually all Littleton residential properties out of the urban renewal areas. So even if hypothetically someone wanted to condemn residential properties, which no one positively, absolutely wants to do, they aren't even in the urban renewal zones to begin with. We've allowed the commercial property owners to opt out of urban renewal zones where they've decided they don't want to be in for whatever reason. Nobody's sticking a gun to people's heads and saying, you've got to stay in here because we want you in. Urban renewal is nothing more and nothing less than a state-sanctioned tool to assist communities with economic development. There's no boogeyman under the bed waiting to jump out and play gotcha with people on this stuff. It's basically stipulated in state law, and every time we do this, we've done it in other areas. Yes, we have the right to do certain things as a home rule municipality, but we end up playing twister with a lot of this because we're trying to outsmart ourselves with a lot of this stuff. So in this case, however, I think putting the ballot initiative to the voters does, in fact, offer them a riskless choice to say yes to economic development and no to condemnation. And that's a sentiment with which I, Littleton, strongly agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Council, any other comments? Gary?
Thank you. Months ago, I opposed the referendum that we had, that council passed regarding eminent domain and the use of it, how we would use it. I believed at that time that it did weaken the ability of this city council as well as future city councils, the ability to properly use urban renewal. I believe that this ordinance before us does the exact same thing. It weakens the proper use of urban renewal. Having eminent domain is an important part of urban renewal when necessary. And by putting this, by passing this ordinance tonight, put it onto the ballot, I believe we're weakening this council as well as other councils' use of a tool that can be very useful and valuable, just as it has been for other areas. That's it.
Yeah, thank you. Randy?
Thank you, Mayor. Along with Councilmember Valdez, I too was a minority vote in what I have come to rethink and now support, which was the resolution that was passed. That was to pick up what he said, but to go back to the genesis of that whole theory. Many of us went to the post office and went to King Soopers and were met with people with petitions whom we believe were paid petition gatherers, but nonetheless people who were speaking on behalf of a group that was trying to get this on the ballot. And they kept saying, stop the city council from condemning your house, sign this petition. Stop the city council from using eminent domain, sign this petition. And so council wisely passed a resolution to prohibit that. And then people came down here to this dais and said, this has no teeth, you've got to put it in the charter. A resolution can be undone in a subsequent week or a subsequent month, certainly by a subsequent council, so please put it in the charter. And we've listened as a council, and we've listened to the Littleton Strong people, and we've listened to the Citizens for Rational Development by whatever name, and everyone's come down here and said, we don't want to see condemnation, we don't want to see eminent domain, and so this is this council's response to that request. We've heard what you've had to say. We thank you for your time, and I, for one, will support this ordinance.
Bill.
Deb.
The question before us is whether or not we want to put this on the ballot on March 3rd. And I think the rewording of this eliminates the ambiguity that it may have existed before. I think it makes it a very clear choice for the voters. I think it gives the voters an option. I think that it provides an opportunity for the citizens to look at the two different choices that they have and maybe do a little bit of study and work on, you know, what they want to vote on, how they want to vote, and what looks best, what will fit best for their needs. And so I will support putting this on the ballot. There was an earlier comment made by a citizen regarding anybody on council who's a member of the Keep Littleton Strong. And I will tell you, as a citizen, I maintain my rights as a citizen and my opportunities to be involved in entities outside of the function of my council duties. And I am a member of Keep Littleton Strong as a citizen. I'm very clear about my duties as a council member and my responsibilities as an elected official versus my opportunities and rights as a citizen, and hence I am keeping them quite separate. And I will continue to do so as this issue continues through the months. Thank you.
Peggy?
So is it appropriate for an amendment?
You can,
unless
you can make
somebody
a motion.
else. Yeah, I would like to amend the motion to strike the phrase by the Littleton Urban Renewal Authority.
It's not in there.
Already out.
Pardon?
The motion did not include that phrase.
Excuse me?
The motion did not include that phrase.
I'm sorry. I don't have a copy of what we have because...
Yeah.
My machine is
Councilmember
not
Brinkman,
working.
could you reread the motion?
Yes, the motion is, the ballot issue should read, shall the Littleton City Council be amended, shall the Littleton City Charter be amended so that the City Council cannot authorize the use of eminent domain and condemnation in an urban renewal plan except at the request of a property owner.
Okay, so then I may have a question. So that's saying what the council can authorize, right? But nothing would come to the council, if I'm recalling all the statutes correctly, unless somebody appeals a designation?
I'm not sure I understand the question. What this amendment would do is it's it's prohibiting City Council from authorizing the use of eminent domain and condemnation in an urban renewal plan, which is the area that you exercise authority, is approval of that plan, so that the plan could not authorize the Littleton Urban Renewal Authority to use eminent domain and condemnation to acquire property for urban renewal purposes.
Okay, so then the second question. So I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty tracking all this. So we already have approved plans. So if this is passed, I mean, if we approve this to go to the voters approve this, but the plans are already, we have several plans already approved. Would this be retroactive?
No.
So what teeth does this have, if somebody could tell me?
It would apply to any plans going forward or any modifications to the plans that you've already approved.
So if such modifications were to occur or a new plan someplace in the city?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Just three brief areas to tap into. One is the urban renewal process, as it has occurred, has on the part of the city had included extensive outreach. Councilmember Stein mentioned some of the conversations that many of us have had with lots of folks. That was number one. Number two, probably the most cogent thought that has come out with concern regarding urban renewal is protection of private property rights. And this particular charter amendment deals with that directly. It makes it a very narrow process. If the state's own process was not already narrow, this further makes it narrower on the part of the city of Littleton. And my third point is I'm looking forward for the city to work on a unified basis and for thoughtful development and redevelopment with urban renewal in the toolbox and hopefully at a vibrant level. And I will support the motion. Council, motion has been made, has been reread. Does anyone need it to be reread? No? Okay. Council ready to vote? And a motion in favor is a motion approving the addition of this charter amendment to the ballot on March 3rd.
The vote is 5 in favor. The motion carries with Council members Cole and Valdez voting no.
Thank you very much, Council. Is there any further comments or issues before Council this evening or this afternoon? And so we stand adjourned at 5:05 p.m.
The last meeting in